Welcome, warriors, to Lean Into Your Superpower, the go-to podcast for professional and high-achieving women and those who love them, looking to elevate every aspect of their lives. We are Kathleen and Zaina, aka the Lion and the Ram, and we've built an entire podcast on harnessing and utilizing your superpower.
Our wish is for this to be a safe place where we talk about why knowing what your superpower is vital to your success, whether it be personal, professional, or financial.
Hello, everyone. We are in our 10th episode today, Mastering Your Money, the conclusion. This is the final installment of the Money Mindset series. In this episode, we will bring together all the concepts that we've discussed throughout the series, including money and the middle class mentality, spending money to make money, and the time value of money to really help us take control, or help rather you take control of your financial destiny. So our focus is really on this episode on kind of summarizing it all to get for you, and is on helping you apply these principles to shift your mindset to mastering your finances, unlocking your real wealth, and achieving financial freedom. All right. So the first episode, Kathleen, was in this series is money evil, right? Money and the middle class mentality. What is money mindset to you?
So money mindset to me is how you think about money. So in all of the different aspects. So that's going to be, how do you make money? How do you use it? How much of it is in the world out there that you can get? If you get more, does that mean someone else gets less? All of those sorts of things.
Right. For me, that's where we kind of started, money mindset. What is it all about? I think at its basic form, it's how you answer the ultimate question, which is, how do your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes about money shape the quality of your life? Right. I think that's the foundational. I was thinking about this before we started. I'm thinking that's really the kind of the foundational question. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's impossible for me to think about how your attitude about money shapes your life without getting into the scarcity and abundance mindset. Because when I think about people that have limited funds, typically they believe there are limited funds in the world. And so, because that's the way in which they view the world, they view it from money is scarce. And, if you make any money, you're going to need to save it, or there's just not enough to go around, or somebody's making more. That means that I don't make as much because they're making more.
Right.
The people that, that have a lot of money, a lot of times you'll see that they're much more willing to spend money. And we always think, well, that's because they have more to spend. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think it's because they see that there is an abundance of money to go around, and they're less worried about spending it because they know they're going to make more.
Right. Because it has to start with their mindset about money, right? It has to start, I think, with a mindset that, referring to the overarching belief and attitudes the one holds about money,
Right.
how it should be earned, spent, saved, invested. I think that's something that we discussed in the episode in the first episode of the series. It's ingrained in childhood, right? These beliefs are often ingrained in childhood, and they're influenced obviously by your family, by your cultural, and by your personal experiences. And we have to now realize that what we were ingrained with, especially the middle class mentality, and that's why we called that episode that, may not be the best money mindset moving forward if you want to gain true wealth and grow.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, I look at how I was raised, which was the middle class, and we kind of get into that into the episode, but I would definitely say I was middle class, and the mindset I have now about money is very different than the mindset that I had then. And the mindset that I had then was, if people made a lot of money, they had to have done something maybe unethical, or maybe they were just, they were very, what's what I'm looking for? Kind of shrewd, like they weren't very kind. They must have done something, to get that money that maybe had harmed someone else, a business decision that was good for them, but maybe not good for others. And so that's kind of how I grew up thinking about money was, oh, well, they have a lot of money. What they have to do to get it? And so now I've had to fight that because I would like to make more money. And I don't think that that I do it in a shrewd way or in a way that harms others. I think that you can build a business and make a lot of money without doing that. But I had to unravel that sort of mindset in order to make it okay for me to make more money and try to build the life that I want to build.
So that's typically, the two broad categories that money mindset falls into, right? Either scarcity or
Yeah.
abundance. And before you had a scarcity when you were thinking like,
Yes.
if somebody's rich, they must have taken it from somebody else, they must have, disadvantaged it. It's like a win-lose mentality. In order for me to
Right.
win, somebody else has to lose versus having a win-win mentality, which is what the abundance mindset is all about, or one of the factors of its.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think abundance mindset, once you can get into that mindset, it's less stressful because I mean, when you're in a scarcity mindset, it's very much survival. It's like, kill or be killed. It's a zero sum game. If you're winning, that means I'm losing, and that's not great. And then you can't be happy for other people who are winning because you feel like that's to your detriment. But if you're in abundance mindset, everybody can win together. And how great is that? That everybody can prosper and everybody can win together. So it's kind of freeing to make this switch in your mindset.
Right. Right. So scarcity, resources are limited, like finite amount of money, not enough for everyone. Like we said,
Right.
win, lose. Why it's dangerous is what you touched on is it comes from a place of fear and you're kind of moving in the world and you're interacting with the world from a place of fear. Is you make decisions based on fear. You hoard all your money because you're afraid you're never going to get another dollar, right?
Yep.
You're afraid
Yep.
if I spend it, then that's it. I'm going to be, a dollar short, right?
Right.
Which actually stifles your growth. It really stifles your ability to grow and progress as a human being because you're avoiding risk. You're terrified of taking any risk, whether it's investing in yourself or just having a better overall quality of life, right? And I say this to myself every time I start thinking, going down this scarcity mindset is I always think, and I always tell my clients too, money is always an effect,
Yes.
never a cause.
That's
So
right.
you have to do something to make money. You're not going to just sit there and have money fall from the sky. Okay.
No. Mhm.
So, right. And then as you mentioned about the abundance, what that is, it's a win-win. I do better, you do better. I pull
Right.
you up, everybody gets better. Like if you have running a business, right? It's not that, I grow and then I'm just you're just going to stay at $10 an hour. Especially if you've helped me build it, I get better, you build it with me, you're going to grow with me. It's a win-win mindset.
Yeah, when I think of like the abundance mindset, I think of sort of like this circle in a way. And so when I think about spending money on my business, I think some people think, oh, I'm going to spend this money on marketing and then that's where it stops. But I don't see it that way. I see it as I'm going to spend money on marketing and that's money that's going out into the community and going out into sort of the greater cycle of money. And then that's going to come around and then it's going to come back to me. So it's not like I'm sending it out and I'm never going to see it again. I know it's an investment in my business and I know it's going to come back. And that's part of that abundance mindset is kind of seeing it as that sort of cycle. It's a cycle of money. So, as it cycles along, it doesn't stop, it keeps going. And so that's kind of how I view it, is sending it out for it to come back.
Right. I love that because I actually love when you said in the episode, which is not something I ever thought of before as an analogy. I love analogies, but when you said, it's like a river. If I take if I take a cup out of a river, and I'm
Yeah.
ahead of you, and the river is running, and I take a cup, doesn't mean you have one cup less. I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
Thank you.
yes, I'm like now. I think of it, and I say it now all the time because I'm like I really like that. Um, It's also when you have an abundance mindset, you're actually more coming from a position of you being the creator of your life, like you holding yourself accountable. You
Right.
where it's where you take responsibility. I think the
Yes.
scarcity mindset, we didn't dive into this too much in the episode, but I just started thinking about it. It's really where you think you're more like, I hate to use the word victim, and I hope people know what I mean by that, but like, oh, woe is me, everything's happening to me. Um,
Yeah.
and so you always have this fear because you think your life is so out of control because you don't see yourself as the creator of the life that you're making. That's
Oh
a
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a power position. So when you're definitely in that mindset of the scarcity mentality, when I said it's like survival, well, when you're in that survival position, that's not a position of power. Like if you think of like nature and you're in survival mode, you're not mastering your surroundings. You're just doing what you can to get by, and you're kind of at the whims of what nature throws at you. When you're in this abundance mindset, you are seeing how the things you do shape the money that comes in, how your business is running, how your family is running, that sort of thing. So you do see it more from a position of power. And I like that. And people think, oh, if I have to take responsibility, then it means that if something messes up, then I've screwed up and it's all my fault and it's this horrible thing. No, you get to learn from that. So don't feel like because you want to take a position of power and really take control that if you mess up, it's all over.
right. And I just want to say, power is like power over yourself, power over
Yes.
and I'm not talking about, we're not talking about like power over people and,
No, no.
people do what you want them to do. We're talking about, being the creator of your own life,
Right.
making the choices that you need to make to get what you want to get, to lean into your superpower, to be the best person you can
Right.
be. That's where, so how do we then make the shift, Kathleen, between, from scarcity to abundance?
Well, when we're talking about that power position, and I'm glad you made that clarification because it's a power over you. You are taking power over how you react to things. So when I think about switching from the scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset, to me, that is a position of deciding how I'm going to react to certain things because the stressors are always going to come. And the problems are always going to come, but what can change is I can change how I view them and I can change how I react to them. So you can choose to react to a situation in a way that shows an abundance mindset or shows a scarcity mindset. So some people call it throwing money at the problem. Well, sometimes that works. Sometimes it works to throw money at the problem. Now, you don't want to throw money at a problem just kind of willy nilly. It needs to be calculated. But when I think of shifting, I think of it as making a conscious decision to change how I'm reacting and how I'm moving forward because I know I'm not in the abundance mindset and I want to be.
Right, right. So for me, I absolutely agree. And I think what you're saying, for me, I'm obviously math oriented, right? So for me, it's like everything is formulaic. So for me, how do you make that shift? And it's just another way of thinking about what Kathleen said is, first you got to think of, what makes up your belief system? And it's formulaic. Okay, what makes up your belief? Well, how do you know what makes up your beliefs? Well, what do you think about? Right?
Mhm.
So beliefs to me equals thoughts that then can become feelings. So it's like plus or becoming
Yeah.
feelings. And
Hmm.
then those feelings will affect your actions. So a belief system to me is like almost like beliefs equal thoughts plus feelings, eh, I guess, and then at plus action. So beliefs are made up of your thoughts and emotions and actions. So really, really, think about, what are you thinking? First start, that's why we always start with mindset. When we're trying to make a shift in
Yeah.
our lives, it always starts with mindset, and mindset is really a belief.
Yeah.
And then where does that come from? Well, what are you thinking about?
Right.
So if you want to change your output, if you want to be the creator of your world and be where you want to be from a growth perspective and make more money or whatever it is, you start with changing your thoughts. The way you were thinking obviously was not working, because if it was working, then you would be where you want to be, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is, I mean when you look at trying to figure out what somebody's thinking, even from any perspective, just look at what they do. The things that people do tell you where their values lie. So it's exactly what you're saying. If and it's just kind of backing into the same thing you're saying.
Right.
You're starting from one end, I'm starting from the other. I'm starting from the end that I can see. But if I'm trying to look at somebody and find out, if somebody's telling me this thing is really important to me, I'll know by how you behave with this thing. Do you spend time on it? Do you pay attention to it? And so yeah, it's very much the same sort of thing. You can tell what's important to someone and what someone's beliefs are based on what they do. So I totally agree with you.
Right. So we moved from, the first episode about, the money mindset and the middle class mentality to our way to our really changing your thoughts about spending. So our second episode in the series was spending money to make money. So it kind of built a little bit on each other. It is the ultimate money mindset paradox, which means you really got to think, what I have to now believe or have a thought that I actually need to spend money to make money. And yes, you do. And why is that?
Well, as I said, there's this cycle in my mind that of money, you send it out. And again, it's a calculated sort of thing, but the world wants nature wants balance. There's always balance everywhere that you look. And I always kind of think of Newton's third law, where there's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's talking about movement, but you can also see that just in nature, there's always a balance. So, and we see it in our lives because, well, you always hear people say, oh, well, once something goes well in your life, then something else breaks, right? So if work starts to go really well, suddenly your husband's annoyed with you for something, or you're starting to have your kids acting up. Now you got to deal with that. But well, that's good. That's happening now because work is going well. Or like all of a sudden, you've come into a larger sum of money just sort of, randomly, and something breaks at your house and now you have to pay for that. And luckily now you have all that money that you can pay towards this thing that broke. It's interesting how that happens in life. Well, it's because nature wants balance. So, and you can even see it when you're looking at just the world around you. The things that are lower that have a deficit, they get filled in. So if you think about a pond, or if you think about a ditch, it fills with water, it fills with dirt and all that sort of stuff, because nature likes an equilibrium. So when you're spending money and sending money out in the world, you've created a deficit. So more of it's going to come in.
Right. You cannot make more money if you don't spend it. I mean, that's really,
right.
I mean,
really can't.
Period. You guys have to really kind of understand that. And I don't know if you've never experienced it, you will. And when we say spend, we don't necessarily mean willy-nilly on, throwing money like,
No.
out into the sky. And necessarily, when we say, and we didn't use this word in the episode because I think it has a different connotation, but we really mean like invest. And we don't mean invest like, hey, I want to invest in my 401k or IRA or stocks, even though you could. When we mean invest, we're talking also investing in yourself, whatever that looks like.
Right.
Okay? So you can't make money by hoarding it.
Right.
Okay. Why? Because you're not spending it on things that will get you to grow, to progress. Growth takes money, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And you're spending money, hopefully, on yourself as an investment in yourself,
Right.
based on what you want, your future to look like, based on your superpower, based on the growth that you want to see in yourself.
Yeah.
We invest in our children all the time. And for some reason, this is such a hard concept when we're talking about ourselves,
Yeah.
So you're putting it to use, you're spending money. Even if your money mindset from middle class is, oh, this is frivolous, it's not. Spending money on clothes, on your hair, on your nails, on your cars, on your shoes, whatever, it's not frivolous because it's investing in yourself. Why?
Right.
How is that investing in yourself? Well, if you look better, you feel better. If you
Right.
feel better, you're going to start to act differently, maybe have more confidence. You're not going to mope around all the time. It's going to
Right.
give you that desire of wanting more.
Mm-hmm. And you have to think about like when you're investing in yourself in this way, because this has been a big shift for me personally. Because I was always raised, that it was frivolous to do that. And it was just sort of, arrogant to do these sorts of things. Why would you do this? And I've started to realize as I've gone along and I own a business now, there are certain expectations that people have of a successful business owner. And if I look like I just was drug in from the gym and my hair's a mess and I don't have any makeup on, which we're in the South, that's not acceptable. So that I don't have any makeup on or whatever, and I just look a mess, I don't look like a successful business owner, right? I don't look like I have it together. So when I'm buying clothes or investing in getting my hair done, which I need to do soon, then I kind of view that as an investment in my business because it's a part of my image. And I do want people to see me as a success and as a competent business person. And as much as we like it or not, how we look plays into that.
Right.
It just is part of it.
Other people are going to look at you. I mean, if you're like, hey, I'm a CFO, but you look like a bum on the street, they're not going to necessarily take you seriously.
They don't believe that.
But I think more importantly, it's your own. It's what it brings about your own self-confidence.
Yeah, it does. It does build your confidence. When you feel like you look good and when you feel put together, then you do present more of a confident air and things like that. And the other part of it too is it is a little bit of self-care. And there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself because you've got to pour into yourself. So I have a monthly facial that I do now, and that's just for me. And do I feel like it makes a huge difference in my skin? I don't know, but I like going, right? And it gives me like an extra hour out of the office and I enjoy it. So that's, it's just little things like that I think are super important. But also you want to build into, you want to start pouring into your self growth. Right. So, and that would be, being around more successful business people. What do you have to do that? Sometimes you have to join a club. So you got to pay money to do that. Sometimes it's a part of just being where they are. Well, sometimes that's an expensive restaurant or whatever it is, where those people are. And it costs a little bit of money to get there. So investing in that, investing in a coach who can help you develop your business. All of these sorts of things are things that you can do to move into your abundance mindset and really start to build the life you want.
Right. What you focus on in life is what is going to grow, period.
Yes.
If you having money issues, pretending, not knowing your money because you're ashamed or not looking at it is not going to increase your bottom line or even your top line. Okay.
Right.
So if you want an area of growth, if you want to be better in your job, you got to go out and spend money and invest like in a coach or in a program or education, to grow that, right? It's not going to just happen. And that takes money. You're investing in yourself to get a return on investment. Okay.
Right.
You're spending money on those cars too, and to get a return on investment. Everything is a return on investment. You cannot grow if you just hoard your money and stay in your house and say, I'm going to just be saving for a rainy day.
Right.
Okay. Because, that rainy day may not happen and time is ticking by. And even if the rainy day does happen, and you spend your money, now what? Right? You're not developing yourself. Right. And there's no such thing, I believe, like this is also universal law. It's called the law of increase of life. There's no such thing as being static. It's you're either growing, progressing, or you're regressing. So you got to decide. If you're staying the same and just hoarding your money and not doing anything with it and just going through the hamster wheel, you are actually regressing. And I think that's something really hard for people to comprehend, right? Or to realize.
Well, people want to be safe and they want to be secure. And when you're growing, you don't feel safe and it's uncomfortable. And so people tend to avoid discomfort. But if you want, and this gets into another episode that we did about being, comfortable with being uncomfortable, but part of this investing in yourself is being uncomfortable. And you have to be willing to step into that discomfort. And part of that discomfort is going to be changing your thoughts from a scarcity to an abundance. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. You're taking apart the things that you were raised with or the things you've believed for a really long time, and you're making a choice to look at it differently. And when you talk about, the things that you grow, that you focus on grow, it reminds me of this reel that's going through Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, with Tony Robbins, and there's another guy there. I don't know his name. And he tells the guy to look around the room and focus on all the things that are brown. And so he does that. He focuses on all the things that are brown, and he closes his eyes and he says, okay, tell me, did you see any red? And of course he didn't see any red. He was focused on what was brown. And the whole point is there was probably a lot of red around him, but he never saw it because he was so focused on the brown. So if you focus on abundance, you will see abundance.
Right.
If you choose to focus on scarcity, that's what you'll see as well.
And focus through action, because you're not going to sit there and just wait for results. Well, I'm not going to look at my money. I'm sure it's fine. And you don't know, and you're ashamed and you're afraid to look at it. Well, the time is now. You only have now. The past is gone. The future is not here. The only time you have now. So if you want to do anything, if you want to grow, if you want to progress, if you want to make more money, if you want to get a different job, the only time you have is now. Right. And it does become a ripple effect.
It does.
Yeah.
And you can make things happen for yourself. I mean, you're not promised tomorrow. So you need to be doing the things today that you want to do to build the life that you want. But you're not promised tomorrow. And I don't want anyone to wait thinking, oh, I've got time. Because that's what I did before I had my cancer diagnosis. I'd think, oh, I'll do this later. Oh, I'll do this later. And then I was 41 years old being diagnosed with a rare aggressive form of cancer. Like, that's not unheard of, but it's rare. And you're thinking, but I had all these plans, to do in like 10 years. I figured I'd have time to get there. You don't. And so take it from me. You don't have all that time, because, you're like, if you look at me and think, okay, well, you got through the cancer, you're still here. Yeah, but it could come back any day.
Right.
I mean, the chances of me getting it the first time were rare, and I got it. So I'm not going to assume that I'm past it and it's never going to come back. So I need to build a life that I want now.
Right. And that kind of segues us into our third episode of this season. It's like falling into place like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Segueing me each time is the third episode is trading time for money. What is the value of money? So we've already established that there is an abundance of everything in this world. There's an abundance of money, abundance of clients, abundance of customers, abundance of jobs, abundance of employees, right? So, but the only commodity is time. You're never going to, we all know this. Anybody who has kids knows this, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or been around kids, or has, could see, kids in their family, you will never be able to get that time back. But not only, as your kids grow, but also for you. Also for you. So you can never save your way to success, to wealth. Your income is always going to be limited by the time, because money is a fact, never a cause. So be very intentional where you put your time.
Right. Yeah, because you're putting your time somewhere and you're making a choice. And I don't think people I shouldn't say that. I think some people understand that, but I think it's super, super easy to get into a mindset where you're just going along, like you said, on the hamster wheel. And I'm going to work every Monday through Friday, and then I clean the house on Saturday, and on Sunday I go to the store and all that. And then you kind of just get into this pattern, and before you know it, 15 years has passed, and you're like, what's happened? I didn't do any of the stuff I said I was going to do. Well, it's because you weren't intentional with your time. Don't assume that just because you have always worked Monday through Friday that you have to do that. Don't always assume that because you've always cleaned the house on Saturday that you have to do that. Be intentional. Look at how you're spending your time and decide if that's really the biggest benefit for you, if that's what you really want to be doing with your time. And you can make a decision, because you're not going to get that time back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And again, that's investing in yourself. I'm going to
Right.
invest, and we talked about a lot about this in the actual episode, but I'm going to invest in a house cleaner because I don't like to clean the house. I don't want to spend 2 hours a week cleaning the house or whatever it is. So I'm going to take that time and I'm going to do something else with it. Right.
Right.
So being
Right.
very like intentional, when we say intentional, like almost conscious of if I'm doing this, then I'm not doing this. And
Right.
what is the highest and best use of my time?
Right.
See this so much with business owners, especially those starting out. They're the receptionist, they're the file clerk, they're all this stuff, and you're like, but you want your business to pay you 100, $200,000, but you're acting like a $10 employee. The business cannot sustain that. If you want to make $100, $200,000 out of the business, you need to only spend your time at the highest and best use and get somebody else to do
Right.
it, because that is well worth it, because an hour for them to do it is $10, and then you can take that hour and you can get, I don't know, a $5,000 client or whatever. So
Right.
that's what we're looking at here, and it's such a, oh, I'll just do it all myself because I don't want to spend money, actually limits how much
Yeah.
money you can potentially make.
Well, right, because your time is limited. So again, you're making a choice. You're making a choice to act as a $10 employee by doing your mailing, let's say, or you could choose to act like a CFO or COO, making hundreds of dollars an hour or whatever it is. Um, and you're making a choice. You're choosing how you want to trade your time.
Right. So
What's
I'm
the value?
willing to spend $10 for somebody to do the mailings for me so I can take my time and get $100 for it. That's a 10 times return on investment.
Right.
But if you take that hour and do the $10 job, guess what? You're only able to get maybe $10 worth out of it.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. And then the flip side to that also that I see, and I think we both see, and I think this really is apropos to high achievers. Um, I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, especially women high achievers, is we're so afraid to lose an opportunity that we're just, anytime we're asked to do something, we're like, yes, sure, yes, I'll do it, because
I'll
you're
do it.
afraid you're not, like, you're going to potentially miss a benefit. And that's
Yeah.
also not the highest and best use of your time.
Right. I mean, there are going to be a lot of things that come along, and like I said, I'm a joiner, so I like to join things, and then I overjoin, and then I'm like, shoot, I don't have time for all this stuff. So I have had to really pare back, and I've really had to look at, just because someone's asked me to be a part of this thing doesn't mean that it's the right thing for me. And so I have to sit down and analyze, because I'm trading my time. So if I'm spending my time on this thing that I've been invited to do or whatever it is, I'm not spending my time on something else.
Right.
So I've got to look at the cost benefit analysis, and it doesn't always come down to money. Sometimes it comes down to, does this thing fill my cup?
Right.
Or is this thing give me more time with my kids? Then, I'm looking at the things that are important to me. And if I feel like it brings a value, I will make time for it. But that's the thing, is I think we go through the motions and we don't really analyze what we're doing in our own personal lives. Yeah, I'll be homeroom mom. Yeah, I'll be the football mom. Yeah, I'll do all these sorts of things. When first of all, I'm not good at that stuff anyway. Let's be real. I'm not good at crafts. I'm not good at all that sort of stuff. So bad idea for me to sign up for that. Let somebody who actually enjoys that and would be good at it do it, because that will fill their cup. And then I can spend my time doing things I'm good at and that I actually enjoy. Right. So, if you really should think about, if you're accepting something that you're really not interested in doing or not good at, you may actually, in this case, be taking that spot from someone who is good at it.
Right. That's a good way
in that sort of situation. So
we keep saying yes to everything. I call that kind of the spray and pray approach. I hope one of these things are going to land and make me successful from my standpoint, from a success, as a success coach, executive coach. And that's, we have to always sit there and say, well, what is my ultimate goal? And again, it doesn't have to be financial. It could be whatever it is. I want to spend more time with my family. I don't want to work as much. There's always going to have to be, I hate to say the word sacrifice, but there is. Okay. If I do this, then I can't do that. If I spend more, if I only work 4 hours a day, well, I'm probably not going to be having $1 million business, for the most part. There are
For the
exceptions.
most part.
Right. At least if you're starting out, right? It has to be
Right.
systematized and other people have to run it for you.
Mhm.
So like what is the balance there? So you need to always be thinking, is me doing this, the highest and best use of my time, number one. Number
Mhm.
two, how is it serving my ultimate goal?
Right.
And
Mhm.
again, the ultimate goal could be, hey, it's serving me, it's giving
Right.
something to me, and so I'm going to do it because having facials every month, whether it works or not, is my me time, and I'm
Right.
pouring back into me. Very, very important. It's not always just giving; it's also pouring back into you. That's serving you.
Mhm.
But if it's not serving you, it's not helping you reach your ultimate goal, you're just doing it like sacrificially, or
Right.
because you're a rescuer and you want people to like you, that's where you begin to again regress in your growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, we are going to start, and this is kind of maybe a teaser, but we're going to start a new series um, about how you can't do it all. Yeah, we're going to start a new series of you can't do it all. The myth. It's going to be called the myth of the work-life balance, and that goes into kind of what we're saying here about
Mhm.
trading that we grew up what 80s 90s where the
Yeah.
women were getting into the job and they're like, oh, we can do it all and we can be
Right.
amazing at home and amazing at work and do this and do that, and then we come into, I don't know, I don't think the time decades is right, but I want to say the 2000s or so, where we begin to find out, no, that there's always going to have to be some sort of
Yeah.
yin and yang, some sort of sacrifice, some sort of cost benefit analysis,
Yep.
you know? And this is also apropos to the series about time value of money. You have to think of your cost benefit analysis. You got to don't allow, it's the 80-20 rule is what I always think about when I think of cost benefit. Don't
Mhm.
allow 20% of the tasks take up 80% of your time, be of the time that you want to dedicate to growth.
Right.
Right. Um,
It's going to be a good series.
I
I'm excited about it.
can't wait, right? The myth is,
Yeah.
working really hard will mean you
Yeah.
will mean you're making a lot of money.
Mhm.
And we're going to go into that about
Right.
it's not about work.
Mhm.
Making money is not necessarily about work ethic. It's really about leveraging your time, your
Right.
value, and getting
Right.
off the hamster wheel.
And when I think of the myth of the work life balance, I think of this image that's been given to us that is, you can have it all, meaning you work out every single day, eat healthy every single day, have home cooked meals every single day, spend time with your kids every single day, have a date night with your husband every single week, and have a clean house and all of your laundry's done and all this. Like, I don't think that's real. So, and we can dig into that, but for me, that's what it brings into mind is this image that's been sold to a lot of women that it's just not realistic.
Well, if you do all those things, then in my mind, it's like, well, what are you not doing?
What,
That's maybe just as much or equally. You're probably sacrificing your mental well-being.
what are
Something
you
has
not
to be
doing?
there.
You're not sleeping because you
Right.
just can't do all that, all of that. So you're not sleeping. That's what it
You're
is.
just trying to be so perfect. And I was, when I
Yeah.
first got married, I was one of those, right? I would make a perfect home life for my kids. Everything, the house had to be perfect, and
Yeah.
my job had to be everything, and then it broke me down. It literally
Oh,
got me
totally.
sick. I
Mhm.
just could. I was when I tell you, I was only maybe getting, you know, 2 to 4 hours of sleep every night. Like seriously, that's probably all I was getting. And you're absolutely right. And then the toll that has on your body, that has
Right.
obviously your mood,
Can't imagine.
and it was just constant, like I have to for everyone else, and then while you literally are breaking down on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not healthy.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that I think concludes the conclusion of the money mindset series. If you guys want to go back and dig into any of these a little bit more, we have a whole, episode on each one of these. It's episode 7, 8, and 9. So go back, look at this. We're just kind of touched the surface, and we kind of wanted to put a bow around it for you guys so that you can get an idea of what we're talking about without necessarily diving, and how each one kind of fits into the other. Anything you want to add before we conclude, Kathleen?
Well, just look out for the myth of the work-life balance because it's going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
Really good series.
And as always, we're going to post our resources in the notes section, but they're basically all the resources that we've already posted.
Yeah.
Right. And remember, warriors, it is better to walk alone than with a crowd going in the wrong direction.
That's right. But we'll walk with you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.
Time.
Bye, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. As you know, on this podcast, we don't sell anything and we have no paid advertisers. So the way that we grow our podcast is organically through you sharing our content. So if there is someone that you think could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. And as always, like, subscribe, and follow.
Thanks, everyone.